Hey guys, welcome to Muscle Memory. My name is Malcolm. Today I'm talking to one of the biggest creators in the wrestling space right now. You've probably seen her on her podcast, Shooting the Weeze, probably seen her on TikTok, Instagram, Twitch, everywhere, whatnot. And there's apparently a lot of alpacas in the room as well. And we're definitely going to talk about that. It's Weezy Blonde. How are you?
I'm good, Malcolm. How are you? Thanks for having me.
I'm doing great. I gotta just ask about it first. We just talked about it for a second off camera.
Okay.
There's a lot of alpacas behind you. I want to know the full story. It's really cool to see.
My government name is Alexis. When I was 14, we went to like a zoo trip in the 8th grade, and I was really obsessed with the alpacas, and everyone started calling me Alexis Alpaca, and it became a thing for the rest of my life where I just was kind of really into them and told people I like them, and so people have gifted them to me. People have taken me to alpaca farms, and I've cried. They're so gentle and docile and sweet, and there's a difference between alpacas and llamas as well. They're very sweet.
What's the difference? I actually have no idea.
One, they're cuter. They're definitely
Right,
cuter.
right.
They're less likely to spit on you as well. Llamas have the tendency to, spit on you and be jerks.
Yeah. Okay. Fair, fair. Yeah, I've never seen someone like collect alpacas before. So that was super interesting. The first thing I
I'm full
noticed
of surprises, man.
a lot, man. But like, how are you in general though? I mean, you make so much content. I imagine your day is like incredibly busy. What's like a day to day of your life look like?
Insanity. It is really busy. I am a hairstylist outside of making videos. So during the week, I go to work. I'm there pretty much 11 hours a day. And then at nighttime, I come home. I try to do recording. That's why the streaming schedule works so well for me. I'm able to do Monday Night Raw and Friday Night SmackDown when I'm not working because most hairstylists have Mondays off. So that works well for me. But it's insanity. Trying to juggle both of them is really hard. So I just try to keep up with what I can and not burn myself out too badly.
Definitely. Have you ever experienced like any kind of burnout before? I feel like that happens
Yeah.
to almost like every creator.
Oh
Like,
yeah,
what's the story with that?
absolutely. Absolutely it does. But there's always the fear of you understand that you need to take a break at some point. You're going so hard, but when you're seeing things growing and you're seeing success happening, you really want to keep capitalizing on it. So you just keep going and you keep going because you're afraid to take that break, even though your own audience will even tell you, it's okay, like take time for you, like chill out. We're gonna be here. And I'm like, but will you? Like, are you gonna move on? Are you gonna forget about me? And so you just keep going.
And you just find someone else and just unfollow. You're like, I found another person I like more.
Yeah, I found someone better.
Totally
I
get
found
that.
another blonde. I don't need you anymore. I'm like,
I totally
okay.
get that. There's a lot of like there's an oversaturation in the wrestling content scene. So like
Oh,
there's speaking
absolutely.
to someone that actually like grows out of like those ashes into like an actual creator like yourself. I know you got really popular mainly like in this last year, I would say. Like,
Yeah.
what's the thoughts on like your growth so far as a content creator?
It's surreal. I hate using the word imposter syndrome and I hate throwing that out there all the time, but I absolutely have that. I went to TwitchCon in Las Vegas this year and I became Twitch partner within 6 months. I did it, which isn't a very easy thing to do. So I went after only being a partner for like 4 weeks and I'm telling everybody this and I'm like, yeah, it's no big deal. Like, because the first thing they ask is, oh, what game do you play? And I'm like, oh, I don't play games. I watch wrestling. And they're like, wait, what? I'm like, yeah, I do wrestling watch alongs. And you explain the whole thing. And they go, you became a partner watching wrestling. Like, there's a lot of us. And they're like, that's amazing. And I'm like, is it amazing? Oh, I guess it's kind of cool. I was talking to my friend that I went to TwitchCon with, and he's a huge creator and just was like, why don't you think you're good? Like, why don't you think that this is super impressive? This is a very impressive thing. I don't know because I feel like if I acknowledge that, then maybe it'll go away. Like I think staying humble is a good thing because at the end of the day, I'm still just a normal person. Like I think the smoke and mirrors of Instagram and content creation in general really gives a false reality of who we are. People think that I do this full time. I don't. I have a whole life outside of sitting at my desk and talking about wrestling. So it's surreal. I try to keep as grounded as I can. Luckily, I'm surrounded by people that don't give a shit that I do this. So they keep me real real humble because that's a problem I've noticed. People really get too big for their britches sometimes and they crash and burn.
Yeah, no, it definitely happens a lot. I have a few friends that like hate wrestling. They don't like it. They
Mm,
don't listen to me talk about it, but it's
mm,
like, all right,
mm.
guy, whatever. So I try to
Shut up,
bring up,
Malcolm.
oh, I just did like this big interview, right? And they're like, yeah, I don't care about Jeff Hardy. Like that doesn't mean anything to me. You're not that impressive. I'm like,
It's hard to grasp, right? You're like,
right?
wait, what do you mean you don't care about Jeff Hardy?
Bro, that's my guy. So I was like, it's good to have people around that's like that aren't interested in wrestling to an extent because it's like, all right, it will keep me like normalized and I can talk about things outside of wrestling because it's really easy to like be super obsessive with wrestling,
Okay, yeah.
especially with everything that's going on in the scene right now. How do you explain to someone that doesn't? And I know you mentioned a little bit, but how do you explain to someone that doesn't watch wrestling that you're just a creator in the space and that's just like a normal thing and there's an actual community for that?
It's really hard because I've talked to people all day long. I
Yeah.
see anywhere from 5 to 10 clients a day, and a lot of them have been with me. I've been doing hair 10 years. They've been with me for a long time, and I've only been doing this a few years. So trying to explain to them, yeah, wrestling. And you probably have experienced this too, where the typical answer is, oh yeah, wrestling. I watched that back, when I was a kid, or oh, yeah, when Stone Cold or The Rock, or if someone's a little older, they'll be like, oh yeah, Hulk Hogan was my guy, or oh, Macho was my guy. And I'm
Yep.
like, well, it still exists and it's still a thing, and it's actually very good, and it's as good as it's ever been. And they're like, oh, okay. Well, and honestly, most people are so sweet and they're so supportive. I very rarely interact with anyone that's like, that's stupid. Like, I really don't. Most people are like, that's kind of cool. Well, thank you.
Exactly. Every time I try to explain like what wrestling is to someone, it's like they say that same answer like you just said, like, oh, I loved Hogan and Stone Cold and whatnot. I'm like, yeah, but you know who The Rock is, right? They're like, yeah. I'm like, well, his cousin, he's really cool right now as well. He's like,
Yes.
oh, that guy looks like Aquaman. I'm like, whatever. I mean, cool.
Sure,
Like,
yeah, whatever.
sure.
Same nationality.
Exactly. I'm like, sure, we're close enough. But yeah, man, I mean, like even like looking at like your content currently, as a lot of reaction kind of content, you have your own podcast right now. In your opinion, what's like your favorite piece of content that you're making right now?
I just started doing something called I call it Shooting the Wheeze. It's a podcast that I'm doing. I've only released 3 videos so far, and the whole premise of it is that I get to sit down in front of my camera and basically just shoot and talk about whatever I want to talk about, whether it's wrestling related, community related, internet related. And I've really enjoyed that because I like doing reaction content, and it's what I've built everything on, but it's not the only thing I want to do. I'm very much a creative person. I want to be able to explore that more. It's just like I said earlier, finding the time to do it when you're super busy. Because I applaud you for being able to do the amount that you do, because I can't imagine all of the editing and all of the things that go into that, because that's a lot. I'm sure you know.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a lot, man. But yeah, I was listening to your podcast. I listened to all 3 episodes. I have in general, but I listened to them again today before we started talking. And like, you're really good at like just explaining like stories, right? Like, I feel like there's a lot of great wrestling creators, but not a lot, respectfully, not a lot of great of personalities that when they explain stuff and then like you see them in real life, it's like very different from who they actually are. But
Yeah.
like listening to your podcast and how you explain like how you didn't want to be a pro wrestler because you had certain things going on in your life, it was actually entertaining to hear something like a creator talking about wrestling without talking about, while also talking about themselves without it making this like crazy giant edits is like actually good storytelling. How do you create like the topics for your podcast?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Um, I usually during the week, it's a lot of the time when I'm at work and I'm daydreaming in the middle of, blow drying someone's hair and I can't hear them. And I'm like, okay, what could I talk about? Because I'm constantly always thinking of things that I could be doing. I have a running list of ideas and things I want to talk about. And I always, on that platform right now, I want to talk about something that means something to me. So the storytelling part, I want to relate it to me because I don't ever get to talk about myself or how I relate to professional wrestling and how it actually resonates with me emotionally as a person. We get very caught up in the black and white of, oh, well, this happened on, Wednesday Night Dynamite. This happened on Monday Night Raw. They're booking this person incorrectly. They're doing this right. They're doing this wrong. And we're not really talking about what resonates with us as wrestling fans. We get so caught up in the reporting part of it that we don't talk about ourselves. And that's literally why we're all involved in it and why we like it. So I think people resonate with that.
They definitely do. I can tell. Have you ever had like a piece of content or like a series idea that you wanted to make, but somehow it just didn't fall in line for some reason?
Yes.
Give me.
So being a Twitch streamer, I wanted to get into gaming. When I had more time, I'm a bona fide simmer. I love playing The Sims. I've played The Sims my entire life. There is a YouTube creator named Gray Still Plays, and he creates large houses of sim characters and basically makes them battle royale deathmatch. Like he gives them a task, and whoever survives last is the one that wins. So he'll throw them all in a pool and like take the ladder away. and whoever wins wins. So I wanted my community to vote on what wrestlers, we would make a sim of, throw them on a lot and see, who gets struck by lightning first, who drowns first, who gets to the refrigerator last, who starves first, who gets in a fight. Like I wanted to do that, but there just is not enough time. So I really would like to get into more gaming in general. It's just timing.
Definitely, definitely. What's like your story like becoming like a creator in this space? Like what led to you like actually like getting into the wrestling side of the community?
2020, when I had nothing better to do, I downloaded TikTok like everybody else. And at that TikTok was such a different landscape at that time. Everyone was doing such different things. We weren't, out about interacting with other people. I made one video that was one of those trending sounds about how it was called the song was like International Super Spy, where you look one way but you're actually another way, where someone looks at you and they don't think that you'd be a wrestling fan. So I think I pulled out a couple of my uh action figures and I put on my New Day shirt and I was like, surprise, like I'm a wrestling fan. And it just went viral. I'm like, why is this going viral? So people started asking me questions when they find out that you're a wrestling fan. They're like, oh, who's your favorite wrestler? Who's your wrestling Mount Rushmore? Who's this? Who's this? So I started interacting with it and it just kind of snowballed and it put me on the algorithm of people that had already been doing this and having, a wrestling community on TikTok, which I didn't know existed. And I just ran with it. That was the beginning.
Definitely. And like you even like it expanded off of like just TikTok. And obviously you talk about Twitch, about YouTube, whatnot. I feel like there's a few amount of creators that have like really learned that jump from like just doing like TikTok stuff to then doing everything across all platforms. Yourself, Santi Zap, Suplex, probably the few people that come to mind. What made you like think about jumping from not just doing TikTok, but also doing like across all brands of social media?
I was exclusively TikTok for a long time, and there was a period of time in the States where they were talking about banning TikTok entirely. And I had built such a strong following, and I loved interacting with people in the way that I did because I don't have anyone else to talk about wrestling with. And I was worried because if TikTok went away, okay, well, all of this, 2 years worth of hustling that I've been working for just goes away in the blink of an eye. Okay, let's expand out. So that's how it really started. I started on Instagram. I was pushing to YouTube. Twitch, I don't even remember how and when Twitch happened. I was dabbling in it for a little bit at first and then really went hard on it when some of my friends did. And it was mainly just not wanting to be I wanted to be more multifaceted. I didn't want to just rely on TikTok because the future of it was so uncertain. And I'm really, really glad that I did.
Great decision. It's definitely working out for you. You
Thanks.
were in the CM Punk's like comeback
Oh
promo
my God.
Monday Raw. I saw that. I was freaking out. I was like, oh my God, like so many people I know that's on this.
Oh, it's so
When you saw
crazy.
that, what was like your reaction? You're like, oh my God, my face is on Monday Night Raw. It's insane.
Well, I think the first thought that went through my head, and I even said it in my reaction video. I just said, they know we exist. That's terrifying. Like the production people at WWE know that we exist. That's horrifying because let's be real, I think a lot of us really push the boundaries of copyright. So they could take away a lot of what we have like that. I've gotten real close sometimes. I think they've chilled out since the CM Punk thing. But I would have never thought that in doing this, I would be on an episode of Monday Night
wildness. Leave a lot of stuff in drafts if you can. But yeah, man, it's a lot, dude. But I want to talk about a few topics. I feel like we relate on a little bit. So the first one's tattoos. I know you have a lot of tattoos. I have a little bit going
I
on.
do.
What's your favorite tattoo do you have right now?
I don't know that I can get to it. I don't know that I can get to it.
Oh man,
Ah.
but you got so much up. Yeah, so many. It's a whole sleeve.
So yeah, up here I have a skull with a rose on top of it. That's probably my latest one.
That's
But I don't have any story or meaning behind any of them. I go to
yeah.
my artist and I say, "What do you got? What have you sketched lately? What do you like? What do you want to do?" And so I just kind of pick and he picks the size and we go. So I love shout out Ryan A Tattoo. Shout out Ryan, I love you. I'm going to see
Oh,
him later in the month. But yeah, I don't have any meaning to any of my tattoos. People ask me sometimes to be like, "How many tattoos do you have?" And I have to really think. I don't know. The number changes all the time. Where I'm like, I
yeah,
don't know. Why does it matter? Why do you need to know how many? I just go. They don't mean a whole
exactly.
lot to me.
In your opinion, which wrestler right now has like the best tattoos, male and female?
Ooh,
Yeah, there's a lot of
that's a
good
great
ones.
question. I really like Ruby Soho. I feel like I pay attention to the artwork on her because it's so distinct and she has it placed so nicely.
Good
That's the
point.
first one that comes to mind when I think of tattooed wrestlers for sure.
For sure. I always think about Finn Balor, and it's really recent because he doesn't have many, but it's like this odd like loops around his forearm, and I don't know
Yeah.
what it means. It looks almost unfinished, and like it's cool. Like I like unfinished stuff too, but it's just like these weird and odd loops on his forearm, and I'm so interested of like what's if there's a reason, and if there's not, like
Right.
why
Tell me
is
the
that thing?
backstory.
Exactly. There's always a backstory. And like Jay Uso has like this palm tree on like his rib cage. And it
Oh
was
yeah, yeah, yeah.
against like the wild Samoans, I believe. Things what Jacob Fatu said one time.
Yeah.
It's so cool. Like some of these wrestlers are putting in like 9 hours, 10 hours, 11 hours into stuff. It's insane.
Well,
It's
the fact they're allowing them to showcase them more, I think is super cool too, because there was a time where a lot of them they would have to cover up anything that's on their wrist with tape. Or I remember Dirty Dango when he was Fandango in WWE, he wasn't his legs are tatted up and he
yeah.
wasn't allowed to show them at all. So he came to mind too, because now he pretty much is always wearing shorts, I feel like. So now I always get to see them. Like I would have never guessed that you were tatted up that much.
Exactly. Yeah. You're really surprised by some people that have these kind of tattoos. In your opinion, because you're a weightlifter, I'm a powerlifter, who is the strongest wrestler in WWE, male and female?
Oh, female. I go immediately to Rhea Ripley, but there's also Raquel Rodriguez.
It's a good one. It's a good
Both
one.
of them are built tanks.
True.
Men, that's a little trickier because I
A
think
lot.
there's so many. There's Bobby Lashley. That's the first one I think of is Bobby Lashley. Man,
Yeah,
he's
I
a
feel like
tank.
he's like super athletic as well. And that's what makes it really
Mm,
dangerous because like he's a really built guy. I mean, he can obviously lift a lot, like there's videos of it, but
yeah.
the amount of like the pure speed on that man, he's like a truck and it's
Yeah.
crazy. Like if it was all time, I would have to say Mark Henry because like one, that's my
Oh,
dad.
absolutely.
Yeah, that's my dad. I have to. But also like world's strongest man for a reason, you know. But
Yes.
there's also like Cesaro or John Cena that everyone
Oh,
praises like
Cesaro.
superly strong,
Yeah.
so strong. Yo, have you seen him in person? He's
No.
massive.
No. Never seen him in
Absolutely, he's
person.
a tank. He's way bigger in person than you ever expect. It's wild. But yeah, man. What are your lifts right now in the gym? I know you're a competitive weightlifter. Let's talk about it.
I just fell for the first time yesterday and forever. So I haven't competed since it's been a year now. I competed January of last year and I actually blew out my hip.
Oh,
So I've been rehabbing that for the last year and I haven't really been able to push any of my PRs. I think my snatch is trash. It's like not even 50 kilograms, something like that. And I think my clean and jerk, my most is 60. So
okay.
I'm not, I just like to get in there and move. I like the movements. I don't try to go too heavy for PRs anymore because I hurt myself. I'm old. I'm getting
Nah,
older.
you're
So
not
you gotta
old.
be careful. You gotta be careful. I got a long ways to go. I can't be, needing a hip replacement at 35. We gotta chill.
For like people that don't know kilograms, that's like what we're talking like 100, 110 pounds for like that 50 kilometer or kilogram.
The 50 is like 130,
30.
120, 130.
Okay.
More like
I'm
120,
terrible at math.
125.
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
Mm.
All right, just making sure. Yeah, there's a lot of people that just like, oh, like KG. I'm American. I don't know anything.
Yeah,
So
sorry, I forget about that. I'm also little, so 125.
that's still a lot
I'm
of weight.
I'm small.
Nothing wrong with it. That's a lot of weight. No, it all depends. All depends on the person. Let's talk about some hot takes in wrestling right now before we start to wrap this up.
Oh God.
Who's win the Royal Rumble, men and women?
Well, I was saying that for the women in the Royal Rumble, I was really hot on Bailey. And then last night, Monday Night Raw, we had that altercation between Rhea Ripley and Becky Lynch, and I'm like, oh God, is Becky? Do I want Becky? Do I want that to happen? But I think I'm sticking with Bailey. I think it's her time. I'd like to see her have another main run, so I'm sticking with that. The men, very generic answer. I'm just gonna keep it with CM Punk. I'm gonna keep it with Punk.
Interesting. Yeah, I feel like
Yeah.
WWE's done a really good job of like creating an illusion that these other people can actually win the Rumble
Yeah.
this year, which they haven't done in a while. Like I always feel like it's like, yes, Randy's gonna win, yes, Roman's gonna win. This year's like
Yes.
I can kind of see Cody, I could kind of see Drew. Do I think it's gonna happen? Not really, but I can kind of see it. So they're doing a great job of actually like putting together a real Rumble with actual mystery and intrigue behind it. So good job on WWE for
It
that.
kills me that people are so set on being, they'll be so certain. They're like, oh, it's definitely CM Punk. It's nobody else. Or, oh, it's definitely Cody. You're stupid if you think something else. It's like, you don't know, dude. Like,
Exactly.
don't be so confident. You have no idea.
Apparently Matt Riddle was supposed to win in 2022, but that just didn't happen. And I would have never seen that one coming. So
We
like
were supposed to have extra pyro last night at Monday Night Raw, and that didn't happen. So,
exactly.
crazy.
These online reports aren't always factual. In your opinion, do you think Damian Priest will fail his cash in?
I don't know if it's ever going to happen at this point. We're going to pass WrestleMania and he's still not going to cash it in.
Yeah, honestly, I can't see it. I think he might fail it, honestly,
I
personally.
hate that I want to say yes, because I don't see a lot of routes where it makes sense for him to cash in against a lot of the people that are holding the title. But it does with the World Heavyweight Championship. I guess we could go that route with, if Seth Rollins is still holding it or whoever has it in the time between now and then. I don't see him taking it off of Roman or anyone that has to do with that picture.
Definitely.
So I'm leaning more towards it being a fail. I'm leaning more towards that, but I don't know for sure. I don't know anything for sure.
It's more than possible. I feel bad for the guy, but it's not looking too bright for the boy. It happens. It happens,
I
unfortunately.
called him last night the boy who cried cash in because it's just he's just constantly coming down to the ring with that briefcase and nothing happens. Like, can we, dude, are you just going to be senior money in the bank forever and just carry the briefcase around even when it's no longer valid? I don't know what to expect from you anymore.
Exactly, man. Last hot take: should R-Truth join the Judgment Day?
He already is in the Judgment Day.
I don't
He
know.
already is in the
Doesn't look
Judgment
like it.
Day.
Doesn't look like it.
He is. Did you see he was making money? He was hustling. He's in the
Um,
Judgment Day.
he's like
It
the
pained
intern.
it pained Damian Priest to slam him last night. It hurt him. DP likes him.
That's true. I can see it. I can see. Hopefully he does. Hopefully he does. Before we wrap this up, Weezy, who are some of your favorite creators right now?
Oh, there's so many. There's so many, and I wish I had more time to focus on more. But like you said, it's so saturated. There's so many people, and there's only so many hours in a day. Currently, the people that I plug you all the time. You do amazing interviews. You deserve
Appreciate you.
way, way, way more exposure than you get. You're incredible. Uh, who else? Mini Portable is a newer one that I'm on. I'm really, really enjoying, and she hustles too. She puts out a lot of content. She has a great personality. She's really, really into everything that's going on, and she doesn't just stick with WWE either. I tend to gravitate towards a lot of AEW creators because I don't get to watch it in real time.
Fair.
I've always been big on Marissa and Johnny. I love both of them. But the Triple Threat Pod, real people, super amazing. I hate it. Pains me. It pains me. It pains me. Santi Zap. He's so great at what he does. He's
Yes.
so great at what he does. People have no idea how creative he is and how just like bigger than life a personality he is. And he's a really good person and he's helped me out a ton. So I have a lot of respect for him. But those are probably my main. Suplex. I don't know how he keeps up with all of the things that he does. He is
I
just
do.
a machine, just an absolute machine. Like what? How?
Yeah, all those guys you just said, they're all super amazing. Mini Portable, she does so much content. Like I don't watch a lot of AEW either. I catch it as much as I can, but whenever I
Mhm.
see her like put out something, I'm like, all right, I'll go watch AEW now because I see her talking about it. Because like she does some great stuff. And just like everyone else said as well, super talented people. Weezy, thank you so much for your time. In your opinion, what's the future of your direction with your content creation?
You're supposed to have a plan, right? You're always supposed to have like a goal and a plan. And I have just been winging it, girl. I've just been winging it. But My main goals right now, I have goals of YouTube. I'd like to hit 100,000 subscribers within the next year. So that's really where I want to put my focus on. I've always wanted to be a YouTuber. I wanted to be a YouTuber when I was a teenager, a vlogger, and now I have the opportunity. So I think that's really where I want to put my focus. But I also would like to get more involved with actual wrestlers and wrestling companies and find a way to use my platform to bring more eyes to different products and maybe people that need more exposure that don't have it. So those are kind of my main things I'd like to do this year.
I can see all that happen. You probably just sign AEW at some point. Honestly, I could,
Don't.
no, it's
I
gonna
don't.
happen. No, Tony Khan, slide in DM, see what happens.
That man needs to stay off Twitter. Don't.
Yeah, yeah. Weezy, where can they find you on social media?
You can find me on TikTok and YouTube with just Wheezy Blonde, or you can find me on Instagram at Wheezy Blonde. And I guess I'm also on Twitch, twitch.tv/Wheezy Blonde.
There it is. Weezy, you've been very generous for your time. I really appreciate it. Guys, my name's Malcolm. This is Muscle Memory, and we're out.